There are stories the world tells to entertain, and then there are stories life tells to remind us who we really are. In the city of Lagos, where glass towers scrape the clouds and egos rise even higher, there once worked a man named Samuel, a janitor. Every morning, before the sun had even opened its eyes, Samuel swept the marble floors of a company called Golden Crest Holdings. He moved quietly, his hands rough, his shoes tired, yet there was a certain peace in the rhythm of his broom. People saw him, but they didn't really see him. He was invisible, like the air that carried their perfume. They stepped past him, sometimes through him, as though poverty were contagious and they could catch it with a glance. But among them there was one woman who saw him most often and laughed the loudest. Her name was Lara, a marketing executive with a car that cost more than Samuel's lifetime savings. She had the beauty that came with youth and the pride that came with praise. Every morning, when Samuel greeted her with a humble, "Good morning, Ma," she'd wrinkle her nose and say, "You again? Can't you people ever find better jobs?" The other workers would chuckle, some out of fear, some out of boredom. And Samuel, he would simply smile. Not the smile of agreement, but the smile of a man who had learned the strength of silence. You see, life is a patient teacher. It lets the proud run ahead, only to show them the curve they never saw coming. Years passed. Samuel kept sweeping. What no one knew was that after work, when the office lights went out and the city quieted, he would sit in the corner of the janitor's room studying. Not for school, he couldn't afford that, but from an old laptop someone had thrown away. He taught himself accounting, management, and business ethics. He watched videos, read books on entrepreneurship, and dreamed of owning something. Not to prove anyone wrong, but to finally prove himself right. There's a Yoruba saying, "The child who says his mother will not sleep must also stay awake." And so Samuel worked through the nights life denied him comfort. Then one day, fate, in her mischievous grace, knocked. Golden Crest, the company, began to crumble. A scandal, a misused fund. Executives fled like rats from a sinking ship. The owner decided to sell. No one wanted to buy a company with such a reputation. No one, except Samuel. Through quiet years of saving, small side hustles, and wisdom gained from watching others fail, he had built enough to make a bid. Not the highest, but the most sincere. And sometimes sincerity carries a power numbers cannot. The sale went through. The paperwork was signed, and just like that, the cleaner became the owner. The following Monday, employees gathered in confusion. Rumor had it a new management was coming. The elevators opened, and Samuel walked in. Not in his janitor's uniform, but in a clean navy suit that seemed to carry the scent of redemption. The silence was deafening. He looked at them all, the same faces that once looked through him, and said softly, "Good morning, my colleagues." But it was Lara's face that told the story. She froze, eyes wide, her lips trembling, the same lips that once mocked, now struggling to find breath. Samuel didn't gloat. He didn't remind her of her words. He simply handed her an envelope, her termination letter, and said, "This company needs people who respect others no matter their position." Then he turned away. Because sometimes the loudest revenge is silence. Now, let me pause and ask you, why is it that we measure worth by what people wear or drive? Why do we forget that today's cleaner might be tomorrow's CEO? That life has a way of rewriting scripts without asking for your permission? Experts might call it social mobility or economic justice, but elders in the village would call it something simpler: karma. The seed you plant in how you treat others always grows into the fruit you'll eat one day. Under Samuel's new leadership, Golden Crest transformed. He raised wages for janitors, introduced scholarships for their children, and made a rule: no one, from cleaner to chairman, should go without greeting the other. Respect became the new dress code. As for Laura, she disappeared into the noise of the city, a warning written in human form. Some say she later found another job and changed her ways. Others say she still talks about that cleaner who became her boss. Either way, life had already taught her the lesson. In the evenings, when Samuel drives past the office he once cleaned, he still slows down to look at the janitors sweeping. Sometimes he joins them for a few minutes, broom in hand, and they laugh, thinking he's joking. But he isn't. He says it reminds him where he came from and where he could return if pride ever blinds him. My friend, remember this. In every room, someone is watching you, learning from how you treat those with less. The world spins slowly, but it never forgets. Titles fade, cars rust, and clothes lose their shine. But kindness keeps its color. So the next time you see a cleaner, a driver, a hawker, don't just look, see. Because you might be shaking hands with your future boss. And when life finally writes your story, may it say that you were humble in victory and gracious in power. Because in the end, it's not about who laughed first. It's about who learned. This is the story of Samuel, the cleaner who bought the company. But in truth, it is the story of us all. The rise, the fall, and the silent justice of time.